Well, welcome everyone to my little tier list for the Conservation DLC props. Hope you all are having a wonderful day today, and I just can't wait to get into all this with you. I know some of you guys really do like this, some of you guys really love to build in Planet Zoo, and I'll tell you what, I do too. So we're just going to get started with all the non-animal things that they added in with this last update. And yes, I'm even counting the natural grass in here. Already, I know so many people have been begging for a invisible path, and this one kind of does the job right. Granted, it's not perfect. You can still kind of see the seams on it. It is a little sad, but if you guys are hoping to have a little bit more of a natural look in your zoos, this is pretty good. But all things considered, I'm not really too sold on this just yet. I think it does help for some sections, but looking at the whole path in particular, the curb doesn't really sell me. It's simply the same curb as, you know, some of the other paths that we have, just like a little bit more of a different color. However, what really does get me is the actual fences that we get in here. So if we do turn off curbs and turn on railing on ground Q, not on ground Q, but ground path, and go back to the grass path, we can see that it is pretty good. I really do like this texture. We don't really have any other kind of fences really like this to the best of my knowledge, and I think it will definitely help out in some areas. I'm actually going to keep the sun out. Sun's out, guns out. Am I right, boys? So, all that being said, I am going to kind of clean up this pathway a little bit because it is a little dirty. There we go. That's why I'm going to rank this path around the B tier. It's not really the best, but I'm sure it will have its practical uses, specifically with the railing. I know that's going to be very useful, so that's why I'm going to just tuck that piece right there. Now, of course, we do have some other things as well. We do have the facilities. So if we just look up conservation, we can already see what we have over here. And that's why I automatically think that these pieces are indeed S tier. Both the conservation bins, the benches, as well as the picnic table and the canopy all deserve a slot, I guess? A spot on the S slot. And that is just because these pieces are some of the best ones that we've gotten just yet. These are very basic and very versatile. They're all flexi-color, which makes a really good piece in my book, and that's why I really do like them. However, we also have some other pieces as well. We have some other things such as education, which we recently got. These pieces, while they are very stylized, will help give your zoos just a little bit more education and guest interaction. While I don't really kind of vibe with these in my own zoos, I can't knock the fact that they are very helpful for zoos in particular, especially for franchise and challenge zoos. So I'm just going to put them over here in my C tier, even though some people may rate them just a little bit higher. I'm going to turn the sun off over there, that way a little bit more. However, those ones, not really the best in my book, but I do believe that these are a step up. These are both the soundboards and the paw boards, and I think that these blend in extremely well with even realism, especially the paw one. I think I'm going to rate this one just a little bit lower. But still, this one is very akin to what you would see in the very nice zoo that really does care about their education. Now, making our way throughout here, if we just look up conservation, we can already see that we have a whole bunch new plants in here. Already, I'm just going to throw the Aquilaria tree over here at high A tier. I think it's a very useful tree. And I think it can make some very good habitats, especially since it does look like trees you would see not only in Southeast Asia, which is where it's natively from, but from New England, from the Midwest, wherever you are. I think that'll fit in very nicely. Now, moving our way throughout here, we have all of these plants. I'm sorry, these are all just going to be thrown in here because they are incredible. We have the aster, we have the cornflowers, we have the meadow buttercups, we have the oxeye daisies. These, every single one, is extremely useful. These will all have so many useful practicalities, I guess, for quite literally anything that you build. If you're building a nice kind of rustic zoo, these guys will be sure to give you just a little bit extra twang. Alright, quick little apologies for that little jump cut. My, my dog had to, you know, check up on me. Or rather, I had to check up on my dog. Anyways, we're going to make our way throughout this list going forward. We have the conservation flower pots, and these pieces automatically are goated. Even the terracotta ones, even though they aren't flexicolor, I'm just going to toss them up here because nevertheless they are extremely useful and can go a long way with helping you to really capture a nice planted garden vibe in your zoos. I really do think that these are all very much, how you say, S tier. And yeah, they even position snap right in there, the mulch pieces. And I just think that's incredible to have for pieces like that. Moving on through here, we do have the conservation grass roof panel. These pieces are really awesome just because they are flexicolor as well. And they have a really cool texture beneath that really you aren't able to really achieve with any of the other pieces. However, I do not really like the grass texture. I do think it's going to be extremely useful in so many cases, but if we pop ourselves over here, we could see it doesn't really blend well with either the path or the real grass, but I do think it still will have some practicalities in terms of gameplay and really helping to capture some smaller sections, maybe even terrariums or even indoor exhibits. I do think that will have a lot of use over there, so that will be our first A tier prop right there. Moving on throughout here, we do have the fig trees. Again, I don't really know how I feel about the larger trees in this pack, because they do seem, I don't really know. I'm not sure how to feel about it. They are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I think they're just a B tier prop. The fig trees in particular are really good for gardens and stuff like that, but in terms of general decoration, I don't really have any use for them as it stands. Granted, all my opinions can change, but that's kind of how it is right now. And the Korean pine tree, you guys have heard me say this before, it just feels a little too out of place. It feels a little too bright. If these colors were a lot less contrasted, I feel like it would be a lot better, all things considered. But still, I'm just going to throw this one at the C tier. It doesn't really feel like a prop I would use, and I would much rather just use the base game ones instead. Now, what we also got in the update were the shrubs. So we also got the Siberian pea shrubs, which are going to be wicked awesome for gardening. Again, another S tier prop. We're just going to tuck these guys right here. We have both a planted one for your gardens and stuff like that, and we also have a relatively more wild one. And they look really good too if you combine them as well, but I'm just going to keep them on themselves right there. What I believe we also have is a new type of bush, if I can find it. We have the common saltwort bush, and these guys, again, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw these guys down in A tier, and I'll tell you why. I feel like they're too bushy. And I know, it's very weird coming from me saying, oh my gosh, we finally got a good bush. They're too bushy. Well, I don't really know, guys. I feel like they're too circular. I don't know. Just being able to blend these in with each other, you can still kind of see that it still comes from, like, a center root. And I don't really know. I would have preferred it if they're kind of like clumps instead of just one big bush. But I don't know. That's just how I feel. Especially after using these props for a little bit. Yeah, maybe they are S tier, but I'm just going to keep them right there for now. What we also got, however, and I know so many people are going to love this, we got the dry drin grass. And again, very much like the drin grass before it, it's an automatic S tier prop. Just looking at these side by side, it's going to go such a long way with helping you to develop very beautiful savannas and plains, and I really do appreciate that about that. And what we also have are the small habitat gates. These guys are going to be super helpful when it comes to making, like, you know, exhibits and stuff like that, especially smaller ones. I'm going to put these guys right in between S tier and A tier. I feel like these are going to be really exceptional for, you know, making stuff like, you know, small walkthrough exhibits, and maybe even like smaller things like Maybe these can even be used for shops and stuff like that. I really do love the looks of these guys, and I really can't wait to see what you guys are able to achieve with that. I still prefer making custom doors myself, and that's just because there really isn't a wide variety in there. But that's just how I feel in terms of that. But making our way through here, and if we just type in conservation, we can get started. With the bulk of the props, this is going to be the main kind of like gist of it. And we're going to start off with the 3D printed wall set. Automatically, I'm going to throw these guys in A tier. It's a beautiful set, don't get me wrong, and it makes me really happy. Unfortunately, I don't really know how to use it yet. I think it's a beautiful texture, and it's going to be super, super useful in the future. But personally, I really would just prefer to use custom walls. But these guys will go a long way with helping to make custom walls. I just haven't really found my kind of niche with it yet. So these guys are just going to sit in A tier. Meanwhile, moving down here, we do have the air conditioning units. And these guys are automatically going in S tier. I'm sorry, these guys are perfect. So of course these do come with their own little vents, which is really great, especially for, you know, doing all this small detail work. And these vents in particular, I'm going to even throw them like up here with the big boys, because those are going to be super useful when it comes to making like, you know, aquatic exhibits where you have to like drain the pool. That's going to be super useful right there. So I'm very excited to start using those a lot more. And forgive me, I'm just going to move my microphone a little bit closer to me because it seems like my audio levels are a little bit too low. Moving on through here, we also have our animal signs. Again, these guys are exceptional. I really do love the style that they went with over here. And it really does have a good contrast with the statues that we got. Even just all of these alone, like the bees, looking like really cute. We even got little ladybugs, kind of like in line with the what pack just came out? The wetlands pack? Hell yeah. It's very much in line with that. And we also got some really cool Siming ones too, which are super awesome. Look at those guys go. I really do love the style that they went with over here. It's very on brand with like what they have been doing recently. And hell, I would buy these as stickers. Frontier, please, I beg you, once again, please make these into stickers. I would buy the crap out of these. Are you kidding me? Now moving on through here, we also have the conservation blinds panel. This one, I'm sorry, it's not really that useful for me because of what else we got. I feel like these are kind of just a waste of a prop. Personally, I don't really have a use for them. Meanwhile, the rest of the conservation blind set, slats, I guess, as well as these, what are these? The cladding beam thick, the cladding beam thin, I assume. And the rest of these are all going to be super useful. Maybe not the ones that are put together, because I feel like these are more so for a niche that I really just don't represent. These are, of course, meant to work with your grids and whatnot, but I just don't really have use for these. They are FlexiColor, though, which is really good. So in case if you guys haven't seen, you can kind of go through here. My biggest complaint is the fact that you can't FlexiColor all three at once. Unfortunately, these slats don't really go with these slats, which is a little bit of a shame, but, you know, it's totally fine, I guess. Hopefully Frontier addresses that in the future, but they still haven't addressed the faux rock FlexiColor, like the little faux rock pebbles, unfortunately, which I really hope they do. But still, regardless, really awesome props. As well as these cardboard boxes. These are the cutest little things ever. Really useful for making realistic builds and stuff like that. Not much to say other than that, and we already went through the terracotta pots, but I'm going to throw this little basket over here in S tier. Just a really solid prop, especially for theming and stuff like that. I think we're going to get a lot of mileage out of that. As well as the gutters. Very simple pieces, but still will go such a long way in terms of realism that I really hope some more people start to experiment with realism a little bit more. Because these are the perfect way to get started with like adding those fine little details into your zoo that really a lot of people tend to skip over, but it's gonna really be so inspiring for so many new players who are starting to get a little bit more associated with like the idea of realism. I'm sorry, my dog just shook right there. What we're also given is the conservation hose cart. I'm just going to throw that in solid S tier. Really awesome prop, really useful. Now we also have the insect house, the insect hotel, however you want to say it. It's flexi color, which is great, so you can change out the color of these guys. I'm going to give it a solid A over here. I always prefer making custom things most of the time, but since this doesn't really have any gameplay value, I don't know. It's a solid prop nonetheless. It's just a little bit too big for me. I wish we actually got real beehives. I feel like those would have been some really cute props. But still, nothing really that blueprint makers can't make themselves. This light bulb is also really good. They have 3 different flexi color values. And of course, if you plop it down right there, and if I do change my games to the creative preset, you can see that they do light up and they do give you a good amount of light, which is excellent. Meanwhile, the baskets as well are really good as well. These guys are flexi color, which is excellent. You even have like the ceiling rows. You have all these different lamp shapes, which not only are they good for lamps, but they're also going to be really good for decoration. So I hope you guys get kind of like, you know, kind of experiment with it a little bit more. This one, not really so. I'm just going to put this over here with the A tier. Solid prop nonetheless, but I wish they kind of split these pieces up. I always love a lot more split up pieces than anything else. We also do have these little lamppost stalks, which are pretty neat, honestly. I'm going to throw these guys at S tier. Meanwhile, this version of the prop goes down here. While I do understand why they included both of these versions, I think it's really great that they did. This one, of course, will have a little bit more feasibility in exhibits and habitats and stuff like that. And of course, all the tiny props, guys. We have your buckets. We have your crates. If I can place them down, that is. And we'll place them right over here. All of these really solid props, really useful for backstage and stuff like that. I think that's pretty solid. And listen, this is probably going to be the most controversial take out of there. These are going straight into A tier for me. I really do love these statues. These have the cutest little art style that you could ever ask for. I know not many people appreciate that they're kind of like chunky monkeys and stuff like that, but still, these are really solid in my book. And of course, these are already S tier, so why do anything with that? And of course, we do have the tools. These guys are all flexi color, which automatically makes them a rank higher in my book. But these are all really useful props, and I can't wait for you guys to start decorating like your backstages with them, because we do have a lot of awesome tools now, especially the tiny little trowel, and we even have the wall hook, which will go a long way with helping you guys to make like very, very in-depth blueprints. As well as the trellis squares and hexagons, flexi color as well. The TP I'm just going to throw down here. I love having pieces split up. If we can get those tiny, tiny, tiny beams as individual props, that would have been a lot better, but still solid prop in my book. And of course, we do have our little vegetables. These guys are the cutest things ever. We have individual potatoes, pumpkins, we have pumpkins, and we have pumpkins. Really awesome stuff over there. We also have the hose and the wall taps. Literally all of these making their way into the S tier. I really love to see that. Of course, we also have the waste bin. Not really sure how I feel about the text on there. You can't really edit it. Really doesn't look too well if you're going for, I don't know, let's just say recreations or stuff like that, but I do get it. I do love, like, how they incorporate the Planco language in here. I just wish we could actually edit it ourselves. Unfortunately, we can't, though. Conservation water butt base, hell of a name, hell of a tier. Goes right into the S tier alongside the water butt that it's supposed to be paired with. Watering can as well. Really solid prop, as well as a wheelbarrow. You guys can make your own little wheelbarrows, which is going to be the cutest thing ever. Not really sure how I feel about these in particular, but still, really awesome stuff nonetheless. So you can kind of assemble it relatively easy without even needing to change much. And you can just tuck that right there, and then bam, you have your own little wheelbarrow. And you even have individual wheels as well, so in case if you guys do want to make anything with those, that's really awesome right there. And of course, we do have a one-wheel wheelbarrow, which is really great as well as the conservation DLC reward statue, which is going to be the Persolsky's Wild Horse, or Shabalsky's Wild Horse. Solid S tier statue over there. Really simple, really to the point. It's going to come in with gold, silver, and bronze variants, which is really good in case if you guys are building kind of like realistic zoos and stuff like that. But that's all over there. We also have one last thing as well. We have our Yaming Enrichment. Unfortunately, this was the only enrichment that we did get in the game. While it is FlexiColor, it still is a little bit more of a clunky system. I'm sure you guys have already seen my videos on this. I feel really confident about this system in particular. I just wish we had more variations of this. I wish we had a wood set, and I wish we had a rope set. I feel like that would really tie in this really awesome set all together. And I hope solely for the fact that maybe Frontier in their infinite generosity would be able to give us a different set of these, which do include maybe like a wood set or a rope set, that I would even advocate for another gibbon to be given out in a DLC, considering if we get another type of these. But of course they are FlexiColor, which is really awesome. They're just metal, so you guys gotta kind of build around that. But still, you guys can pretty much see that how I feel about this pack in particular. This is probably one of the best scenery packs in case if you are a very detailed builder. If you aren't, I'm sure there's a million different blueprints out on the workshop as we speak that have already been made utilizing all these pieces. So even if you don't like to build yourself, someone else has probably already built for you. So all that being said, I hope you guys let me know what you think about my rankings. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about yours. And all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. We're gonna end it off with our little bit of measuring friends over here. And I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Take care and have the most wonderful of wonderful days. Bye-bye now.